customers know where they can find the best selection and the best price. At Matthews Ford, you won't be hassled on the lot, and we treat our customers with respect. Matthews Ford gives you a direct price that you want for both new and used vehicles. Come see us at Matthews Ford off Elm and the BA Expressway.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to downtown Broken Arrow. Charlie Hannema alongside the head coach of the Broken Arrow Tigers, David Alexander. This is Inside Tiger Football. Glad you're with us tonight as we get ready for game number 3 of the season. The Tigers take on the Owasso Rams coming up this Friday night. First road game of the year. Coach, how's practice been going so far this week?
Well, practice has been great, especially today. It was very spirited with the change in weather. Everybody was running around. Nobody worried about being hot. It was a great day today.
Let's look back at South Lake Carroll a little bit as we get started here. Another tough loss, close game, competitive most of the way, and then just kind of couldn't put it away at the end. What were some of your quick takeaways from South Lake Carroll?
Well, obviously playing a great program. There's a giant. I tell the kids all the time. There's a giant scoreboard down there that tells us that we win or lose, and you go to play a football game, you want to go win, and we didn't make enough plays to win the ball game. We set up our preseason, our non-district schedule like this, to get us ready for the district, right? So we can go get better and go try to win a state championship. But we've played 2 good ball games, not as good as we need to play. We need to come in on the right end of the scoreboard of this next one.
We talked about offense a little bit before the show started, just kind of cleaning some things up.
Right.
What do you see in there as this fly kind of flies around here? What do you see that's working, and then what do you kind of focus on?
Well, right now, the bell cow of our offense is our offensive line. We're blocking people. If you can block people, then the run game and the passing game should start clicking. Quarterbacks have got plenty of time. We're making holes, and really, the last 2 teams have been really good defenses, and we're putting punching holes in them. And if we continue that, right, and we will, because our offensive line is big, a bunch of big, strong guys. They're leading that group, and everything will start clicking.
Left tackle Trace Jeffries is here. He'll be with us coming up in one of our later segments tonight on Inside Tiger Football. We talk about the offense, and then we switch to the defense. A couple powerful offenses in the first 2 games,
right.
But the defense has held strong for the most part.
Well, the defense has played fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Against Union, they've got all those big-time, Big 5 recruits out there played wide receiver. And our defense was on a short field the whole night and gave up a bunch of field goals and gave us a chance in the fourth quarter to win. And again, this last week, 4 turnovers against South Lake Carroll. Their first drive, South Lake Carroll's first drive was 14 plays and ended up with 0 points. They just kept making tackles and kept making South Lake Carroll snap the football, and something good happens.
And part of that with the field position. You can give up a 14-play drive and hold them
right.
at no points when you clean that up from game 1, where Union was starting in Broken Arrow territory all the time.
Well, the special teams got better. I wouldn't say it was perfect, right? We had but better. Our punting average were a little over 30 yards. We were returning kicks. Our kickoffs were down there about the 10-yard line. So, and there were no mental mistakes, no substitution infractions on special teams. So all that got cleared up. This next week it's got to be even better. We got to go out and decisively win the special teams battle.
And one of the things that got cleaned up as well, penalties. I'm looking at the stats from last week, just 4 for 18. I think it was 7 or 8 in the first half against Union.
Well, poor Coach Alexander about had a stroke that first week over the penalties, right? And but that's obviously, we talked about it last week on the radio show, right? The TV show, the build up, first game being Union. ESPN, all that factored in, and we just had some guys just get a little nervous that first game. And they had a big game under their belt, even though it was South Lake Carroll, a great program. They felt comfortable, and we should not have more than 3 or 4 or 5 penalties a game.
Inside Tiger Football coming to you live from Franklin's in downtown Broken Arrow. We'll take a break. We'll check in with left tackle Trace Jeffries after this, and we'll look forward to this Friday's matchup with the Owasso Rams. Much more Inside Tiger Football after this.
What could you do with an extra $100? Well, it buys a lot of coffee. Or a date night. Right now, when you open a new checking account with TTCU, you'll get at least a $100 bonus. Score. And every time you pay with your School Pride debit card, TTCU donates to area schools. Hey, we all buy stuff. Why not help our schools at the same time? TTCU. Life is better in balance.
If you and your family have been waiting for the perfect time to jump into your dream home, it's here. We make buying a new home as easy as it is exciting with quick credit approvals and great rates. First National Bank of Broken Arrow. First people put people first.
Welcome back to Inside Tiger Football, coming to you live from Franklin's Pork and Barrel on Main Street in beautiful downtown Broken Arrow. Charlie Hannema, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, David Alexander, and senior left tackle, Trace Jeffries. Coach, why don't you tell us a little bit about Trace, and then we'll fire some questions at him.
Well, obviously I've got an offensive line background, right? So I kind of tend to
These are your
lean
guys.
that way. You're right,
Yeah.
I lean that way anyway. But Trace is an absolute. If you put the definition of team captain and had to put a picture in there, you would see Trace Jeffries. Extremely hard worker, right? Cares as much about his own craft as he does about what the running backs and the receivers and the D-line's doing. Holds his teammates accountable, holds them to a high standard, and works his absolute tail off every day. Plus, he's one heck of a good football player.
Trace, can you tell that your head coach was an offensive lineman just by kind of the way he runs things and the way he talks to you guys?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah. I've also looked him up and saw he was a center for Philadelphia, and that was pretty cool.
What has this season been like, this training camp with Jay Wilkinson coming in and changing some things on offense, but still, I mean, this offensive line continues to grow, and a lot of you guys played together last year too, so you have that experience and that familiarity there.
Yeah, it's been amazing having Jay come back. He's really turned things around on offense. We got to work on small things, like Coach A said earlier, and we'll be fine. And it's also great getting to play with Ram again for another year.
What's he like? I know that Coach has said before that he kind of leans on you to kind of guide him along, but what kind of talent does a kid like Ram have? Just you saw it as a freshman last year, and now as a sophomore, still young, but one of the better players around.
If I didn't know Andrew Ram, I would have never thought he was a freshman. He plays like he's a senior. He's a great athlete. He always gives his all, and he acts mature for his age.
You personally, I know there's a little bit of recruiting going on. You got an offer from Liberty not too long ago, and then Liberty goes out and smacks Baylor in Waco. Were you watching that game this weekend?
Yeah, I saw some of it. Yeah, I watched Kaiser Noah at his house.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It's pretty cool seeing a school like Liberty that had offered me be a big team like Baylor in the Big 12. It was pretty cool.
What are you looking for when you go through this recruiting process as you try and figure out a place to go to school for the next 4 years?
I'm looking for a place to call home, a nice O-line coach, head coach that I like as well, and just a place. Hope to fall in love with it.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, what's your role kind of steering players through this recruiting process? Are you kind of hands-on, or do you let them make their own decisions on that stuff?
Well, no, we're involved as much as we can be, right? Some guys really want Coach Alexander to get involved and help, and some don't. But Tracy's got the exact right attitude, right? Let's go find someplace we want to we call home, and he'll know that. One of those recruiting visits he goes on, right, he'll walk on that campus and he'll meet that offensive line coach and that head coach, and it'll just feel right to him. Because sometimes the coach is going to change in college, but so the place you go has got to feel like home and someplace you're going to live for 5 years, get a college degree, go win some football games.
Charlie Hannema, joined by head coach David Alexander and left tackle the Broken Arrow Tigers, Trace Jeffries, here on Inside Tiger Football. Trace, who are some of the football players you look up to, either whether it's now or when you were a kid and watching and said, I want my game to be like that guy?
I like watching Tyron Smith, the left tackle for the Cowboys. Dude's an absolute beast. And also Rowdy Frederick. He used to play here. That's actually who I replaced. He comes and watches some of our games, and he supports me a lot. Yeah. He does his best to guide me, and he tells me what I can work on during the games, and that means a lot to me, especially knowing that he went to Tulsa.
Yeah, and that's got to mean a lot for your program, too,
Sure
Coach, to see
does.
alums that are connected and willing to come back and give back like that.
It's absolutely great. Rowdy, Rowdy's a great young man, and isn't it cool that Trace he's excited when Rowdy's there, right? And giving him some pointers, some tips. It makes us all better. It's driving Trace to be great, right? I want to be better than Rowdy Frederick was, right? I want to go do, block better, run, all the stuff. And it's just a cool deal we've got going here at Broken Arrow.
What are some of the things that Rowdy can pick up on to give you tips on? Because, playing offensive line is a lot more nuanced than a lot of people know who just maybe are casual fans and watch kind of from a distance. But it's highly specialized, the techniques that you guys have on all different kinds of plays.
Actually, in this last game against South Lake Carroll, he told me something he noticed was I put too much pressure on my hand on run block, and then I didn't put enough pressure on my hand on pass block, and that defense can pick up on that. And I've kind of found that medium, so that way defense can't read that, and that way they don't know what we're doing.
You've got NFL experience, Coach. How valuable is a tip like that?
Well, it's very valuable because, in the NFL, right,
they're picking up on everything.
Right. When you've got you're there from 9 or from 7 in the morning until 9 at night. So you practice all that stuff, and then we get the kids for 2 hours. So if he can get a tip, away from our 2-hour practice time from a Rowdy Frederick, man, that's awesome. You're talking about a tip. When we were playing 2 weeks ago, we had a nice tip on when we were going to see run or pass from that team across the street over there. So yeah, all those little things help.
Owasso coming up on Friday. Trace, what have you been seeing from them?
Well, since Bill Blankenship has come back, he's really turned that team around. They have big names like Josh Proctor, who's been on Bleacher Report and ESPN and stuff like that, and Wayne Jones. They have some really good athletes.
Do you make anything of going against a big name coach like that, or highly recruited players, or do you just kind of take every game as it's just who we play this week?
I play every play like my last. I'm not worried about any team or any player in front of me. I just want to give my all and do what I can to contribute to the team so we can win.
How do you feel? Obviously this is kind of a process. Coach A talked about building the non-district schedule so you're ready to go for districts. This team, just from watching you guys, does not feel like an 0-2 team. You guys don't, carry yourselves 0-2. You don't see slumped shoulders or anything like that. How do you guys approach where you are in the season so far?
We just got to keep confidence. We played 2 really good teams that are ranked nationally in the top 40. So, and we played them real well. We didn't get the result we wanted. But I think if we just work on the simple things as far as flags and stuff like that, I think we'll be fine. I'm not really worried about this week.
All right, that's Trace Jeffries, senior left tackle for the Broken Arrow Tigers. Before we take a break, Coach, what else do we need to know about him?
Well, right, he sounds like a future coach, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Right. I've known Trace a long time. I had his older brother in class 5 or 6 years ago, and Trace comes from a great family. His dad is an awesome guy, and Trace is just now becoming a great player, but he's got a great 5-year football future ahead of him, and I can't wait to see what's in store for Trace down the road.
We've talked about college a little bit. Do you have something in mind you want to study, or are we too early for that?
I've looked at a little bit of meteorology. I've
All right.
kind of like that since I was younger.
Cool. All right. Well, there you
There
go.
you go.
That's left tackle Trace Jeffries. He's been eyeing the burger menu here at Franklin, so we'll let him dive into one of those. Need to have big and strong for the Owasso Rams coming up on Friday night. We'll take a break. Much more inside Tiger football. Coach and I will look ahead to the Owasso Rams after this.
My kids had just recovered from being sick, and I found myself sick. And it was time for me to get the care that I needed, and I didn't want to get the kids out of the house, so I used St. John On Demand.
St. John Clinic On Demand is our innovative 24/7 virtual care clinic. It's accessible from your phone, from a tablet, or from your computer anytime.
I registered for the appointment on my phone and visited with a provider and had a prescription called in for me all within an hour.
So the type of patient that would use this service is someone that has a minor illness. Angela's case is a perfect use of our services. We came to her in her time of need versus her having to come for us.
St. John On Demand is such a great alternative to loading the kids up, getting them to the doctor's office, waiting in the waiting room. So now I'm healthy, my kids are healthy, and I will definitely use St. John On Demand again.
Welcome back to Inside Tiger Football on 97.1 FM, the sports animal. Charlie Hannema and the head coach of the Tigers, David Alexander, coming to you live from Franklin's Pork and Barrel in downtown Broken Arrow. Coach Trace Jeffries, what a kid, man.
I told you, absolute team captain, leader, and a great young man. You just are so proud to be associated with guys like that, him and Derek Shaw and that whole group of seniors this year. They're great leaders.
Is Trace a vocal leader, or does he just kind of lead by example?
Trace is actually quite vocal. I didn't really expect it. It's usually not the MO, right, of an offensive lineman, but he's not afraid to, get in the huddle and get on somebody that's, not paying attention or not doing what they're supposed to do. Trace has big goals, right, for not only for himself but for this team, and he wants to make sure his teammates are holding up their end of the bargain.
We look ahead to the Owasso game coming up Friday, first road game of the year. Not too far, but still on the road. 7:30
right.
Kickoff up there in Owasso with Coach Bill Blankenship. What are some of the keys in that one?
Well, Trace mentioned it briefly, right? They've got two big-time recruits in the secondary, right? Josh Proctor's committed to Ohio State, and Wayne Jones, I believe he's committed to Kansas State. Obviously, to get those kind of offers and commits, they're obviously very talented. They play safety on defense. Now you'll see Proctor play quite a bit of receiver. So we have to know where he's at and take care of our own business. But you have to know where he's at on the football field, and so that'll be the key: knowing where those two guys are at and stopping them.
It seems like on offense, the past couple games, Broken Arrow's been close to breaking
Right.
big plays. We talked about the screen pass to Kaiser Newell that was just a little
Right.
bit behind him, and there have been a couple deep shots that
Right.
were almost hauled in.
Right.
You feel like you're on the verge of something?
Well, that's exactly what the offensive staff talked about this weekend on Saturday and Sunday. We feel like we're just about ready to explode. And we need to be this week. We need to explode this week. We need to get out there and get some chunk yardage. We need to turn those. When the offensive line blocks something for 7 or 8 yards, we need to turn that into a 15 or 18 or 20-yard play. We need to throw that 7-yard pass and have make somebody miss or break a tackle and turn that into 25 yards. And then all those deep shots down the field, we need to connect on a few of those.
Lafayette Wright, your quarterback now, 2 starts under his belt as a Tiger. How's he progressing?
Well, he's progressing quite well. His statistics is, his completion percentage is pretty solid, right? We need to take advantage and hit some big shots down the field, some long balls. He's got a big arm, and we're just waiting for, him to get the timing with Matt Kaiser and Cade Nagy and get some 40, 50-yard throws in.
No high school quarterback is perfect, but it seems like he has pretty decent composure in the pocket to kind of have that gauge of when the heat's coming and when it's time to check down a little bit.
What he's done is the game does not speed up for him. When the ball snapped, if something breaks down, if the receiver falls down, if there's a blitz coming, he doesn't panic, right? You've seen that in both ball games. He's able to keep his head, keep his eyes downfield, and make a little throw and make something positive out of it.
We talked about Owasso's defense, and those highly rated recruits get a lot of the headlines, but they've been putting up some points. I think it was 50-something, 56 last week, and then
against
48
Bartlesville
on Jenks in the opener. So
Yeah.
what do they do well offensively?
Well, they throw the ball to number 3, right? Josh Proctor. That's what they've done. And they threw some deep balls to a couple of the guys against Jenks. They've got a move-in quarterback from Texas, and he seems to be feeling pretty confident right now with Coach Blankenship. And he's connecting with Proctor, and they're making some big plays. And that's what they've done offensively is create some mismatches with some of their outside receivers and get some plays down the field.
What do you know about Coach Blankenship's teams? I know you've known him for a while. Your son Jake played for him at TU. So
right.
Is he doing a similar sort of thing with Owasso that he was doing at Union, that he did at TU, and they did at Fayetteville and stuff?
Yeah, his offense is the same. It's been the same since he was the last few years at Union. Not much has changed. And of course, like you said, you mentioned my son Jake. Jake played for him at Tulsa. And they're running the same thing that they're running at Tulsa. Absolutely nothing's changed. And he's probably calling it the same. It's what he's comfortable with, and it's what he's had success with.
but knowing what's coming and stopping it aren't always the same.
Well, and you don't know what's coming. You know what they're going to run.
Sure.
But they'll out of one formation, they've got multiple plays and multiple options. So the thing that good coordinators do is, out of one formation, they'll make you still defend the whole field, right? They'll defend the strong run, the weak run, the pass in the flats, and the deep ball, and that's what Bill does. Shakes it up, and out of one formation, you can't cheat defensively. You have to defend the whole field.
Inside Tiger football here on 97.1 FM, the Sports Animal. Charlie Hannema, joined by the head coach of the Tigers, David Alexander. What does it say for Oklahoma high school football to have Coach Alexander, who has NFL playing experience, Coach Blankenship, who, coaches at the University of Tulsa, wins the Liberty Bowl, was Conference USA Coach of the Year, and then the state titles in high school he has. And then we haven't even mentioned Alan Trimble and Kirk Frederick, the things that they've done over the years.
Well, that's what. Let's go back 2 weeks, right? That's why ESPN came down here, right? What's happened in Northeast Oklahoma football that started building, in early 2000s, right, with Trimble and with Blankenship, and then it just keeps growing and growing and growing, and the coaches that have built, and the shoulders I'm stepping on here at Broken Arrow, right, and the football is great, the players are awesome, the coaching is unbelievable. We've all got a college program. We're running college offenses and defenses. We're running big time programs.
We've got just a couple minutes left here on Inside Tiger Football. Let's talk about some of your players who fans may have seen the first couple weeks, but maybe don't know quite as well. I mean, you have Cortez, who played a bunch last year, and Kaiser and Nagy are kind of familiar. Tell us about Kewan Tolbert.
Kewan's a sophomore. And as a freshman last year, didn't hardly play in any football. He broke his collarbone in the preseason scrimmage as a freshman, and he comes in here and he sets our vertical jump record, one of our fastest 40 times on the team, and we're trying to get Kewan gassed up and get him in the offense. We need his explosive plays in our offense. Him missing last year, the learning curve into Coach Wilkins' offense has been pretty stiff, but it's still non-district, and we hope to get him really, really rocking and rolling by the time we get to district play.
And then the other speedster, a lot of people have seen, number 16, Keyshawn Johnson, moving in from Tulsa Rogers. He's been an asset already.
Yeah, Keyshawn's he's a senior, and he's played a lot of football, and he's got a little bit of open field speed, but he's really got some wiggle in the tight spaces. He's done a really good job. Come in here, it's not easy. That's not an easy transition.
No.
Right, coming from where he came from to this program. And the only way to get acclimated and get the respect of your teammates is hard work, and that's what he's done. He barely says anything. He just comes to practice and practices as hard as anybody else on the team.
And then on defense, D'Amico Rowland seems to have really been stepping up. We've been calling his name a lot. Tell us about him.
Big D'Amico. Big D'Amico the sky's the limit for him because his tool set that he has, he's just barely starting to scratch the surface. Last year's a sophomore. You've heard me say this, and Spav's heard me say this. He was happy to be a sophomore, stand in the back of the line and not really push himself. And then this year when he got back from wrestling in late February, he was so out of shape. He could barely run across the field. So, D'Amico, we need you to play. Right now, today, you need to make a decision. All right, how hard am I going to work, and do I want to play on Friday nights next year? And he said, yes, sir, I do. And we put a program in front of him, and, man, the young man is just blossomed and blossomed and blossomed. One of the best plays of the night against Southlake was D'Amico on a hustle play. It was an absolutely fantastic play for a defensive lineman.
And we can't leave without talking about maybe one of the most bizarre plays we've seen in a while, the Zach Marcaselli fumble return for a touchdown. What was Coach A's view of that one?
My view was right there in the middle of it, man. Well, that's what we talked about their first play, their first series of the game at Southlake, right? You just keep making them snapping the ball. I'm sure if I was Coach Wasson on the other sidelines on that inversion whistle, I would have been upset too, right? But it happened, right? It happened to me 2 years ago. It happened to us on offense. So, you just have to keep snapping the football, and you can't let anything affect you. Well, it affected them a little bit, and we took advantage of it and had a big play on defense.
What were you yelling? Were you trying to get them to just fall on it, or were you trying to go for
no,
6?
Man.
Because it was
Scoop
pinballing
and score,
around.
Scoop and score. Just keep that ball moving, right? If you can't grab it, keep it moving. Don't Don't try to, if you can't get it, keep the thing moving where one of your buddies can get to it. And it finally squared out far enough out to the sideline that Zach could pick it up. Now then the next thing, I'm on the headset screaming for everybody to get back, right? We don't want the sideline referee to trip over one of our players or coaches and get it called back on a sideline infraction. But it was kind of a cool play, wasn't it?
Yeah, what a play. A 75-yard touchdown by Zach Marcuselli to get the Tigers on the board and tie that game right before halftime. That's a good place to leave it here on this week's edition of Inside Tiger Football. Broken Arrow on the road at Owasso this Friday, 7:30 kickoff. And Owasso will be on the air with a pregame show at 7 o'clock right here on The Animal. For Coach Alexander, Trace Jeffries, and our entire crew on Inside Tiger Football, this is Charlie Hannema. We'll see you Friday night for more Broken Arrow Football.